Thank you all for coming. As Peter mentioned, we're talking about how SaaS makes the cash register ring. Our goal here is to really get into some real-world specifics on what makes SaaS companies successful, the roles they play. We're also going to specifically get into revenue models, the choice of those models, and how that affects the success. For anyone in here that may not be familiar with SaaS, it's short for software as a service. Instead of offering software as a download or in the old traditional box, like the good old days, software as a service offers it as a platform that can be integrated into a company's system. Generally, it's done by license. As Peter mentioned, I'll be your moderator. I'm a partner with Greenberg Glusker, chair of their intellectual property and technology group. I spend a lot of time doing outside general counsel work for software companies, including several SaaS companies, ranging from early stage companies to companies that have been around since SaaS was just something your children gave you a little too much of. So I apologize. I felt like I had to make some sort of terrible SaaS joke, and there it was. We've got a great panel. Each one of these gentlemen are CEOs of successful SaaS companies. This is all B2B in the retail space. To my left, I've got Alan Hames, president and CEO of Steps Away. He's got over 20 years of executive leadership roles in the retail and consumer space, including with companies that you all know, Wet Seal, Disney Stores, Victoria's Secret. He co-founded Steps Away, which enables nationally based retailers to create and deliver promotional offers on a single cloud-based publishing platform. These are offered to shoppers' smartphones over guest Wi-Fi networks in malls across the country. They're currently deployed in major metro markets, including New York, LA, Denver, Houston, and Detroit, and will be in over 150 malls in Q4. So Alan's going to be pretty busy. To his left, we have Chris Lewick, the CEO of FastSpring, which is an e-commerce and subscription billing platform for SaaS software and digital content companies. So not only is it a SaaS company itself, but it also services SaaS companies and helps them with their recurring revenue models. They enable their customers to manage subscriptions and to transact in multiple currencies and payment methods with consumers and businesses in nearly 200 countries. In addition, their merchant of record model relieves their customers of the headaches around selling online, so they no longer have to worry about sales tax, VAT, PCI, or fraud. And finally, we have Brian Nolan, the co-founder and CEO of Sellbrite, which is a SaaS multi-channel inventory control solution that helps retailers save time and money, make smarter decisions, and grow their businesses. Brian's a native in LA and has his BA from USC Marshall School of Business, which I'll try not to hold against him. I've got a go Bruins. So the first thing I want to get into, and I'll let you guys get into a little more of your backgrounds and your companies, is I found that the SaaS companies that tend to work best are those that are born out of experience in a particular industry. You've got a founder that may have operated in an industry where he or she has experienced a pain point that there hasn't been an available solution for. So they go out and step away and actually build that solution themselves and offer it amongst the industry. So I was hoping each of you could give us a little bit of your background and how you got to where you are and how your prior experience influences your company. Alan, we'll start with you.
Thank you. So my background, as Jesse noted, is in the retail space and with nationally based retailers. And we recognize here's the opportunity as mobile was growing to leverage mobile and guest Wi-Fi networks in malls. And specifically around my experiences, I understand the insides of a retailer, nationally based retailer, and how they operate, what the promotional calendars are, how they plan their promotions, and how they need to acquire customers. On the flip side, a lot of experience working with mall developers, and the challenge of working with mall developers for individual retailers is pretty difficult. And so the value that we bring to both the mall developer and the retailer is we enable them to work together in a way that is collaborative as opposed to, a natural tenant-landlord relationship. And so understanding both sides of the coin on how they operate, and they each have different priorities. Mall developers make a lot of their money on leasing space to the retailers, and the retailers obviously make their money by ringing the cash register by selling consumers. There's sometimes some conflict on there what the objectives are, except they're both trying to get after a single customer, and that's where we leverage our know-how to do that.
Chris?
So my background is in wireless communications and consumer electronics, so absolutely nothing to do with what I'm doing today. But I was not part of the founding team at FastSpring. So we had founders who had built a first-generation digital commerce platform, and they saw a need in the market for software and other companies that either couldn't get a merchant account because they were international, or they just didn't want to deal with all the headaches associated with building or maintaining an e-commerce platform or subscription billing platform, acquiring a merchant account and in not only domestically but internationally, and then dealing with sales tax, VAT, PCI, fraud screening, all that. So that was the impetus for forming FastSpring, and we found a good niche in the market where companies come to us because they want to offload the headaches of having a merchant account, having to worry about sales tax collection or VAT. A lot of companies don't realize that even if you don't have a presence in certain states in the country or in Europe or other countries around the world, a lot of countries have started taxing SaaS and other digital content that's sold online. So we basically alleviate that headache for people. And that's one of our biggest value adds, as well as because we're an integrated solution, our customers have basically one neck to choke, which we're fortunate that doesn't happen, but if they needed to, they have one place to go rather than a bunch of different vendors to manage.
Brian?
And Sellbrite did come directly out of a pain point that I experienced myself. My background's in e-commerce, and originally as a developer back in the late 90s, early 2000s, building custom shopping cart solutions before there were off-the-shelf type of, Shopify and BigCommerce type of solutions. And so I sort of migrated over to the business side of things, and I was working for a company in Pasadena called CPO Commerce, a mid-market online retailer in the home improvement space. And one of my roles there was to lead the multi-channel strategy, so expanding our product offering beyond our own websites onto marketplaces like Amazon, eBay. Sears was big for us because we were in the home improvement space. And experienced the pain points of selling on all those channels. Built a really successful business out of it, but looked at, there's a lot of nuance in listing your inventory on each channel and what they expect, and they're all a little bit different. And so experienced a lot of those issues, and we ended up having to just custom build an integration and hire expensive developers to build it and maintain it. At the time, there was really only an enterprise solution available that was old and clunky and expensive. And then after that, I actually left the company, took my knowledge about selling on these marketplaces and started a new small business with a couple friends selling liquidated, overstock kind of product that we were able to get our hands on just on the marketplaces. And again, experienced a pain point on a much smaller scale without the technical resources that we had at CPO Commerce, and really was stuck with a lot of manual work, a lot of Excel spreadsheets, and thought, God, there's got to be a better way to do this. So took our product development experience from the early days and our e-commerce experience and solved it with Sellbrite.
Great. And do you think for a SaaS company that's starting out, is having that industry experience necessary? I think both for the development of the product, but also to the initial client acquisition. I mean, if you're a SaaS company that's targeting an industry, if you don't have that experience, do you need to find someone that does?
So in our experience, the answer is yes. There's a credibility factor, and I have others on my team that come from, we have a technical team we're based in Los Angeles, but I have a technical team in San Francisco. But from when we meet with mall developers and we meet with retailers, we actually speak their language. Right. And when we develop the product, we developed it understanding how they would actually use it. And feedback we've gotten over time is they've seen like products or other people, but they didn't understand how they would actually use it on a day-in, day-out basis. And I would say the adjective, when they talk about our platform, the SaaS publishing tool, is the number one adjective is it's simple.
Right.
And for that notion of simple, it makes it easier to sell something when it's simple and not complicated, and that's because we actually understand what their business is on both sides. So my view is yes.
So we have a lot of SaaS customers that use our platform, and I would actually say it depends on who you're selling to, right? So for some of our customers, they saw a need in a area that there wasn't necessarily a solution. And even if they didn't have experience there, if they are willing to go and talk to potential customers and really just kind of understand, hey, if I build a solution, would you use it? And go into the iterative process, we have several customers that have made successes of that without having industry experience prior to starting their company.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, we sell, our customers are small and mid-sized companies, and so we don't have a ton of sales interaction beforehand. It's a low friction kind of onboarding process, but definitely building the product. I don't know how you could build a product without knowing what the customer needs. It'd be like, in the physical world, somebody told me to go build a better racing bike. I don't race bikes, so I wouldn't even know where to start, right?
Right.
Same kind of thing. Like, I don't know how you could solve a problem where you've never experienced it yourself.
Okay. Switch gears here. Since this is the recurring revenue conference, let's get into revenue models. I think one thing, especially for early stage companies, that they struggle with is finding there's a conflict between finding a model that it makes it easier for the BD guys to get clients versus a model that has a recurring revenue stream that's consistent and reliable. Can you talk a little bit about the choices you each made for your companies and how you got there? Yeah.
I'll start.
Brian.
So we're on a flat rate model. So we charge a flat rate per month, and we have different price plans depending on essentially the size of your company, how many products you have, and some of the advanced features that you need. Well, first of all, kind of taking a step back, the recurring revenue model is incredible because I've started several businesses in the past where you're constantly having to go find new customers, and it's hard to maintain growth. But building upon revenue month over month, and yeah, you may lose some customers, but in general, you can keep growing, is one of the best business models there are. So we decided to go with a flat rate model, and some of our competitors, especially on the larger enterprise side, have a rev share model, and we actually did a lot of research before launching the product with an email waiting list that we had and things like that, finding out what kind of revenue models our customers, our potential customers, are comfortable with. And on the SMB side, the kind of retailers we're targeting, they actually prefer a flat rate model, even if it means they're paying a little bit more than they would on a rev share model. There's a few different reasons. One is it's a little more predictable. They know what their expenses are going to be every month. And the feedback we got a lot was that a rev share model feels like they're being taxed on their success, as they grow. Now, I know one of these guys does do a rev share model, and they look at it, and well, you could go into it, but they look at it and we're helping you be successful, so we're going to be successful as well with you. That's a different way to look at it, and I think it comes across on how you pitch it and how you market the pricing plan. But so it's not to say that we won't go in that direction, and we may test that out. But yeah, I think a big part of it is testing different plans. We've changed our prices a few times already. We've changed what we base the plans on several times, and just test out different things and see what works for your customers.
Right. Yeah, Chris, I know FastSpring does a rev share, so...
Yeah, so we took a completely different approach. And we really look at it as value-based pricing. So we've aligned our success with your success. And we have a pay-as-you-go model that has no commitments, and it is success-based. So you don't we basically only make money when you make money. And we have found that our customers value that because it also incents us to deliver more features in our platform that helps them to grow their revenue further, which thereby grows our revenue. And that's worked very well for startups and small businesses that don't have a lot of capital to commit up front to a subscription. But for larger companies that have more of established online revenue, we do have a different model where subscription to our platform plus transaction fee. And kind of think of it as with the subscription, you're buying down a rate on your mortgage. So that's how we look at it. And again, it still aligns us with our customers because with that subscription, they're basically buying a set of transactions up front and it's buying down the transaction rate going forward.
Alan, I think you have kind of a hybrid approach.
Yeah, we have a hybrid approach, and it's really the thought process is how does the customer, in this case being the retailer, how do they measure success? And so in many cases, there were the notion initially, because we have this ability for them to deliver promotions to smartphones, and extend their in-store marketing. So taking their old analog marketing and now making it digital and putting on a mobile device in a mall to draw people in. The thought process there was, well, where does it go? It's a digital thing, so let's treat this as a digital model and do a revenue share like they classically do on an e-commerce site, or do a click-through rate or something like that. We said, well, it probably doesn't work, because what we're really looking for you to do is to drive traffic. And what they recognize here, so we developed a model whereby it's twofold. One is we charge the retailer a portal fee, and that's for the right to use the platform, a licensing fee, and allows them to create and deliver their promotions across all mall developers on this single platform. So there's great value in that. We charge them an annual fee on that. And then on top of that, or in addition to that, we charge them a monthly flat fee per location per month. And that's the recurring revenue. So they pay an annual fee and sign an agreement, and then every month as their mall base expands, they pay us an additional incremental amount every month per location. And so from a sales cycle, from a business standpoint, it's we sign them, we work at a corporate level and sell them one time. As we open additional malls, it's check a box. And so it's not reselling.
Is that something you launched with, or is it something you developed over time? Brian mentioned doing research before launch on what would be the best method from a client acquisition standpoint. Is that something you guys went through?
It's where we started. We had some quarterly fees, and we've changed it to annual fees, but fundamentally we had a portal fee and a monthly subscription fee per location, and that seems to resonate. That allows the retail, again, how do they measure success? It gives them a predictable expense, and they can react to their business and send out offers on a daily basis or a weekly basis or on real time, and they don't have to think about, well, if I send this out, it's going to cost me again. And so it's a fixed amount, and so it seems to resonate with their success plan.
When you're acquiring clients and you're speaking with new clients, how do you demonstrate the ROI of your product? Because I'm sure a lot of this, like we said, was born from real-world experience. There is some need, but sometimes it's a very specific need. How do you demonstrate the need for your product and the ROI, both from a client acquisition standpoint and from a retention standpoint?
I'll start. Yeah. So we look at the TCO, the total cost of ownership, for our customers, and our customers do see a lower TCO by outsourcing all their e-commerce to FastSpring. So rather than either buying a bunch of solutions, so a subscription billing engine, or building it yourself, or an e-commerce system, and then plus sales tax management, fraud screening, setting up merchant accounts with acquiring banks and processors around the world, having people to manage on the IT on those systems, sales tax management, other merchant relationships. It's all offloaded to us, and that's the biggest driver of our success with our customers, is that they are seeing a lower TCO by outsourcing everything to FastSpring.
So, the retailer, it's kind of simple for us in this regard. There's no retailer that I know of that their traffic is so strong every single day the fire marshal's outside the front of the door saying no more, right? And so the challenge for retailers is to get people in the store. And so one of the values, or one of the measurements, the ROI, if you will, is do we increase their traffic into the store? And we're speaking to shoppers that are in the mall because they've authenticated on a Wi-Fi network. So we have a very highly qualified customer, and they have the ability then to test that against A/B testing around other malls that don't have the same opportunity, as well as we have hourly updates actually on their offers. The platform gives them real-time results every 60 minutes. So they put out an offer. Is it working? Is it not working? How many people are seeing it? And how does that correlate to their revenue?
Great. Brian.
And then for us, one of the things that our platform does really well and helps retailers do is to expand to new markets or marketplaces. So incremental revenue basically for them is a big indicator of the ROI of our system, and allow them to expand maybe beyond their own web store to, let's say, Amazon or Sears or eBay or whatever. And so they can immediately see an uptick on revenue from any sales there. And then there's also a time-saving component with a lot of the automation that we have in our platform to synchronize inventory and things like that. Manage orders in one interface instead of going to all the different channels to do it. So they can immediately see that time savings, which calculates to headcount really and human resource costs.
Do any of you guys have any tricks in your reporting to your clients to make it obvious what your ROI is? Is there anything you can do? It's almost a way to use reporting as a marketing method, clearly identify what you're doing to help them.
We could always do better, I think, at doing that. We have, right when you log into our platform, there's a dashboard that has high-level metrics of your sales by channel and sales growth and all that stuff. So that's kind of the first, right when they log in, they can see that and see trending up. But certainly could do a better job. One of the things we're actually working on right now is doing daily or weekly email reports, if you will, or summaries of your sales across the different channels, so that it's, even if they're not logging in every day, which most of our customers do, but even if they're not, they'll at least get a digest, I guess, a daily digest of their sales in their email box, and can hit them that way as well.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it seems like that is something that if you're starting out with a SaaS company to really think about, that part of reporting is a little bit of marketing, continued marketing for yourself.
I would add to that it's even though they can get the dashboard and they can sign on and do it, people have other jobs. So we're not always their front. Or in our case, we're not the first thing they think about every morning. And so we have actually instituted where on a regular monthly basis, they can get the information themselves, that we actually put it together for them and send an executive summary report, so they can actually see this is just in the front of them, marketing it nonstop and keeping them engaged at the senior levels.
Yeah, and so we do basic dashboard reporting around different subscription metrics, so LTV, churn, MRR, growth in customers, but we also do customer reports that our customers can get all of their transaction data and slice and dice it however they want, so they can understand kind of their metrics that are important to them and not just what we're telling them.
I actually just want to jump in one more time. We have a good example, not from my company, but a service we use. We use a company called Recurly for our automated subscription billing. And when I get the invoice from Recurly, there's a line on there that shows recovered revenue, meaning that revenue that would have been lost, our revenue that would have been lost because of expired credit cards or declined credit cards. And Recurly is actually able to go out and get an updated credit card number, expiration date, or whatever on our behalf. And so they show that ROI for us right there, and it's always more than we pay. So, yeah, that's another nice trick that they use.
Okay, great. We have just a little over 5 minutes left, so I think this would be a good time to open it up to any questions that anyone has.
You mentioned earlier the flexibility of the deal to help a business development team sell something. It might not be an ongoing, predictable, regular subscription model. I'm curious, how do you reward your business development folks within that subscription model on renewals, new items, things like that, to share the benefit?
So the question is, how do you reward BD folks so that they share in anything that they're selling on a subscription base?
Go for it.
So we have a bonus plan, right, that is predicated on, obviously goals and timelines. And on the recurring part of it, obviously, there may be a time even built into the budget where there'll be a period where it'll be less than the list price, if you will. So it's, transparency up front is pretty important. And so someone's not working there for 4 months figured out they're never going to get a bonus. So it's about, and it's also, we found working together with them and developing that plan is actually probably the best way to keep everyone happy.
Yeah, for us, so if someone sells a subscription plus transaction processing deal, then they're getting comped on the subscription up front. Otherwise, it's just in arrears on any transactions processed.
Can you comment with your very experience here on the customer acquisition cost as a percentage of the contract that flows your feedback period? And I imagine that's quite different when you use enterprise sales force steps away or low touch
Yeah, can jump in. The majority of our sales are inbound, free, content-driven sales, and so, but we do some paid marketing as well. And so our customer acquisition cost is actually pretty low at the moment, and the paybacks, you know, we give a 14-day free trial, so if you include that, the payback's a month and a half to 3 months, depending on what channel they come in on. So yeah, 3 to 1 is the kind of ratio that you hear about on LTV to customer acquisition costs. If you can stay below that, ours is much higher because we've been fortunate to have a low friction, you know, inbound traffic and not a lot of sales or costs going into acquiring customers at this point.
Yeah. Question for Alan. I'm assuming your technology relies on humans. My question to you is, what percentage would you say of a smartphone customer has allowed notifications and has YouTube on?
So the question was, John was asking is, we rely on beacons, and what % of the shoppers allow location, Bluetooth turned on and that. So we actually don't rely on beacons for exactly that reason. So beacons require hardware in each of the malls or each of the locations, and require the user to download a native app. And then on top of that, they have to agree to accept push messaging. And so we flipped that model and said, people, it's really disruptive. And so we rely on guest networks in the malls. And so we have exclusive agreements with the mall developers across the country, major mall developers, where we have the redirect. When the customer logs onto that guest Wi-Fi network, they are automatically redirected to a browser-based app. So there's nothing to download for the shopper. So the friction point is low. Think about it like when you go into Starbucks, you get that pop-up that says Wi-Fi network, and then you have the agree to terms and conditions. In the case where we are in the malls, the pop-up says agree to the terms and conditions in the mall of their Wi-Fi network, and you're automatically redirected to our browser-based app, where you then can choose, no push, you can then choose your department, your class, or search by category. So we're Google in the mall, but it's hyper-local, so the ramp-up is pretty significant because it's a low barrier to entry for the shopper. It's easy, so that we're not on beacons. It is. So the value is we know they're in the mall because they've authenticated on a Wi-Fi network. There are technical ways to do access point ID without getting too technical, but we know they're in the mall, and so this is about hyper-local, and so they can't do this at home, so this is a very engaged shopper because of the Wi-Fi network.
Yeah.
Very good question. So the question was, there's a lot of competition for customers being bombarded with a lot of different offers. And that's true, which is why we've taken the approach of it's a pull versus a push. And the follow-up, or the other part of the question is, how does the retailer decide what they're going to do? So our platform allows them to deliver hyper-local offers depending on districts or regions across the country. So it may have a different offer in Los Angeles potentially than you will in Boston, given a lot of different factors. But they think about it as extending their in-store marketing. And so if you think about those analog signs that are in the store, how do they take those and speak to all the shoppers in the mall that aren't in the store? Hence the name Steps Away. And the competitive landscape is, we don't have any competition because we have both sides of the mall developer and the retailer, and we've given that retailer a single platform across all mall developers. And so there's one touch point where we have the exclusive rights over those guest Wi-Fi networks to deliver these offers. Again, it's about pull. Now we do have in the roadmap here on the technical front, on the development front, is those offers, the next time you come in, they'll be over time, they'll be personalized. So predicated on what your past history is, we without registering based on that device, we'll know the kind of stores you looked at and you favored and things of that nature.
We have a few minutes left. I think one of the challenges for SaaS companies is that with technology, how quickly it's changing, the industry you may be in may also be changing. I think retail's a perfect example. How do you stay nimble enough to change as your industry may be changing? Is that a challenge that you face where you started out trying to target a specific concern and then you find things changing? How do you stay nimble to move along with those changes?
Well, we started as just one-time purchase, kind of downloadable software. That was what was primarily sold through our platform. And as those companies started looking at evolving to subscription models and launching, even if it's downloadable software that you install that was still subscription-based, we saw the need to evolve and support subscriptions. So that was, one area where we evolved and continue to watch trends, particularly in payments. There's so much innovation going on there, and staying at the forefront of that's a big part of what we do.
Right.
Yeah, we're in the space where new marketplaces are coming out all the time, jet.com, things like that. So we have to constantly look at the opportunities, both the demand from our customers and then just other BD opportunities, biz dev opportunities where we can take advantage. And we're constantly looking at our product roadmap every week and making adjustments on priorities, and then on the engineering side, using development methodologies that allow us to be pretty nimble, agile development, and make adjustments pretty quickly. And our team is also very small right now, so it makes it a lot easier to do.
The one thing I'd say that with technology changing, and whether it's payments or social media or all these different, there's a constant feedback from customers to add something else, something new, literally every week. So why don't you do this? And there's another idea, and they're all good. Many of them are good ideas. And I think the lesson learned is have a roadmap and a priority list, or it becomes a jumbled mess. So I think that's we've seen that happen with other companies. They try to do everything. At the end of the day, they confuse the end user so much that they've just abandoned the whole thing.
Thanks, guys.
Actually,
Very good. Let's
one.
give it a hand.